just how ultimate is Doc Brown? 3 times? Welcome to the channel. I'm Jonathan. Today we're going to be reviewing Ultimate Doc Brown number 3 from the 1985 version film. There's been a couple iterations, but this one and this suit is probably my favorite out of all of them, although the one from the second Back to the Future is pretty sweet. But before we go any further, I want to give a special shout out to user Guerrero's Fun. If you can see it, Raphael's Disguise and a couple other goodies, and I am super stoked. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And I also want to thank user @BongZs on Twitter for helping me get this 2-pack. I've been waiting forever for this. So thank you so much for helping me complete that collection. Like always, we're gonna go through an overview, then we get into a detail look, articulation, and posing. Let's get into it. All right, here we are with Doc Brown, the Ultimate Doc Brown, the third one. Now this one specifically is his hazmat suit, as we can see here. Some awesome photography, as always. I mean, it's just like straight out of the movie, which is always nice to see when they take the time to put these images together with the backdrops and everything. Here's all the figures from this line, sides, top of the box, and of course the bottom, which has the always important call out for everybody involved in this project. And of course all the licenses and all that. And on the inside, another great photo, which is just almost like a 1-to-1 from the movie. And of course, everything that's inside the package. Looks like we're gonna have lots of goodies to mess with, alternate arms and hands, all kinds of pieces. So let's do what we do and open it up and see what we got. And the sleeve inside of this box is actually really nice. So I would say a nice piece that you could probably set up with your figure if you're gonna keep them out of the box, obviously. All right, so out of the box in the plastic packaging, there's some tape here holding these pieces together. These are just popped in plastic. We have all the typical plastic holders on the back side here. So one on each leg, then one across the waist. It's amazing what difference the lighting makes in these figures too. With the box just set up and straight on lighting, it's kind of okay, but when you get this kind of more dramatic lighting, you really get to see the likeness of these characters. So let's get everything out of that plastic and see what kind of accessories we've got and do an overview of this figure. Okay, so an overview of Doc Brown here. Let's see what we got. There's a lot of details going on, stuff that I didn't even notice was going on in the movie, like this contraption on his hand, and a lot of tools in his belt, which we will jump into details soon. But we have the extra head. We've got additional arms with the gloves. We have this board with a lot of notes, the remote to the car, gun, a couple of extra hands, one gloved hand, this, which looks, I guess, is a notepad. All right, so let's get into the details of Doc Brown. Okay, so look at that. This is a really nice figure with all these extra pieces. Stopwatch connected all the way down here on this kind of loose belt, which is good. So it's got a lot of room to play. Obviously a lot of nice wrinkles in the suit, which works really well. His shirt kind of sticking out underneath. Again, this contraption that he had on his hand, apparently, that I definitely don't recall from the movie, but I'm sure it's there, just didn't pay attention to it. And that's why you gotta love NECA. They do pay attention to all of these little details. Now, unfortunately, these don't come out, but you know, that's probably a good thing because these would get lost very quickly. But even the electrical tape hanging off his watch. So details are definitely not missing out by any means with this figure. It's, as you would expect from NECA, compared to some of the others, this kind of, the detail in this one seems pretty high. In my experience so far, this is going to be one of the higher ones for a movie figure, but maybe that's just because he's got so many pieces that you can do all this attention to detail. It's obviously very much Christopher Lloyd. It's very nice. So let's get into the other accessories. So the alternative head, the smiling, smirking Christopher Lloyd, and that is very accurate. Again, the lighting, this kind of more dramatic lighting, I think really does help with these figures versus in some of the other videos I've done a very strong straight on light, which just kind of washes things out but allows you to really see detail. So this one, I think you're going to get a lot more of the shadows and stuff. So I want to try this out and see if this lighting and this setup works a little bit better. There's the remote. Obviously these aren't going to move because they're so delicate, so you would want to really be careful with that. The antenna does not extend. Nevertheless, the details are certainly there. You got to hit 88 miles per hour. So this is very nicely done on a very famous part of this movie. Now, the alternative hands are pretty simple. They're just kind of a grip style. Obviously, a little bit, as you can see, they're a little bit different from each other, which is always good to not have the exact same hands if you're going to end up using these. You don't want them to mirror each other. And here, his board with all of his notes and calculations. This is a piece that, to me, probably didn't stand out as much in the movie. So it's really cool to see that they got these details from something that probably is just a second on screen. And the extra hand that you get in the box is this one gloved hand. Arms, so you have the fully gloved up with the hazmat, so when he's messing with the plutonium. Of course, the famous gun that he has there in the movie. And what looks like just a simple, very simple notepad, but a nice little call out and having it folded up like that, and that's pretty cool. This little notepad is actually able to go into his pocket here. So you'll notice on the box they added it, and you can just slide it in, which is a really nice touch to have that pocket cut out in order to hold it. So really cool. So those are the details of Doc Brown. Let's get into articulation. So the head, it can go down almost exactly as you would want it to. Up is perfect. That is excellent articulation for the head area. Of course, you can tilt side to side, rotate it. Not only does he have head articulation, but he's got neck articulation, and you can hear that. Something on the underside of this soft top coat is able to move as well. So he does have some waist movement underneath of this coat, which will be interesting. So we'll see if we can move that around when we get to it. The arms will be next, his full rotation. There's not a lot going on to block him, so I think this is kind of all expected as far as articulation in the arm area. Let's see, he's got the elbows. Now this is obviously going to block a little bit. So the upwards, it's just a single joint, but that's pretty good articulation. The wrist, full rotation there. And yes, we have the hinge point there, so we can get some nice 90-degree bends in the wrists. Now, any additional rotation? Yes, in the elbow, you can rotate his arm around. So the waist, he's got this jumpsuit on, so if he can rotate in there, it's going to be underneath this jacket. So let's see if we can't get some rotation to happen. I mean, he moves, but it doesn't seem to be enough to like help him stay in a particular pose. The legs, let's go backwards. So you can see that his jumpsuit there is stopping the leg a little bit, so that's okay. The upwards is the same problems, just getting a little tight in that area. As far as the splits go, that's pretty good. We got knees with a single joint, so no double joint like we've seen in some other figures like the turtle figures. Any rotations up here? No. There's the knee rotates, which will help make up some difference there maybe. Ankles, obviously fully rotate in that sense. Is there any left and right hinge? Doesn't appear to be, no. You've got upward, and downward is really good. Articulation is not too bad. Nothing really in the waist happening, even though it seems like there should be. You just can't get it to hold, maybe because of the jacket, or it just wasn't intended to be that way. All right, Doc Brown, let's see what kind of poses we can get. A word of caution, man, when you're gripping him, do not grab this toolkit, because I just broke off the screwdriver handle. Oh boy. So, as far as details, I'm getting 5 out of 5. I mean, why wouldn't you give him a 5 out of 5, right? This is everything down to the toolkit, despite it breaking, but the belts around him, the stopwatch, the pads, everything is incredibly detailed. I mean, this is really, really top notch with details. That moves us on articulation. So the legs are kind of okay, nothing spectacular. A lot of single joints, so not double jointed knees or elbows. The waist really doesn't move, despite it seeming like that's what's happening underneath the material there. So with articulation, all things considered, we'll go with a 3 out of 5, and that moves us on to posing. While he's got a lot of accessories, I think that really helps. I think that's going to give us a 3 out of 5 with the posing, because you can get some good stuff out of it. Some nice stuff, obviously it's just going to sit on a shelf, but still pretty limited. I mean, it's just got to be a standing pose, whatever you do, and then just various arm poses. So there we go, Ultimate Doc Brown. Those are the scores and the overall rating. Now, in my opinion, yeah, he is ultimate, but I can't compare him to the other models because I just don't have them. But the way this one's set up, I'm really a big fan. It looks a lot like Christopher Lloyd. I think this is a great figure to get. Let me know which version of Doc Brown is your favorite down in the comments. If you enjoyed this review, then you really need to check out this one. This one was great.